we've continued to work to get the word out in community boards 9, 10, and 11, and all Manhattan and to all Manhattanites about the Legionnaires outbreak, and are continuing to monitor the situation with New York City Department of Health, which is keeping the public aware and its website updated. For those who are looking for, more information, the website is www.nyc.gov/site, site/health/health-topics/Legionnaires disease page. Obviously, we also have information on our website, and we've been posting on social media as well, and as well also in our newsletter alert to include those who are participating in community events. We also participated in a community event with Senator Clear, and also one with the public advocate and the Department of Health. This is a continuingly evolving situation, so please, in particular for those in CBs 9, 10, and 11, please check out what we have posted, so that you can stay abreast on what's happening. Moving on to a recent op-ed in AM New York about the ferry service. Please check out this op-ed that is on our website. You can also obviously Google for in New York, AM New York, around the ferry service. But this is an op-ed calling for, recognizing that the state has put a lot of attention and efforts and energy into focusing on the ferry services on the east side of our wonderful island. And it's robust and continuing to grow. But this op-ed is, as Borough President is calling for, a more robust Trans-Hudson ferry service connecting northern Jersey to West Harlem, in a citywide improvement process that wasn't implemented, 8 years ago. It's critically important. It's a critically important opportunity to develop not just transit opportunities, but economic opportunities in northern Manhattan and on the west side. So please check that out. Recently, also, the borough president posted on Instagram, did a post on Instagram around the impact of Trump's tariffs and other policies negatively affecting tourism in New York City. So please check that out on our Instagram handle, which is NBP Mark Levine. It's in the Reels section of there. Moving on a little bit more, there's a couple more updates. Bear with me. Around the MTA, this is around the MTA rezoning at 125th Street and Lexington. We recently submitted a resolution to approve the rezoning with conditions that reflected most of what the community board had included in their conditions, including identifying additional subsidies to increase affordability, and a preference for more bedrooms and use of local workforce. Just a couple more updates. Also submitted, it's summertime, but it's busy. We also submitted a recommendation to approve the zoning and a text amendment for the 1551 Broadway mid signage text amendment and special permit. And additionally, for the Midtown South mixed use plan, which was officially approved last week, the Midtown South mixed use plan was officially approved last week, which includes the 34th Street busway, which is supported by CBs 4, 5, and 6, and as well as council members Botcher and Powers. And then I think finally, wanted to give an update on South Street, on Canal Street. There have been, and I was present at a vigil on South Street. There have been a number of crashes along South Street. I was present at a vigil at the most recent one. And we submitted, we wrote a letter, led a letter actually, on behalf of the community board members, the community board chairs, for CBs 1, 2, and 3 signed on, as well as a number of electeds calling for improved safety and calling on DOT to present a plan within 30 days for improved safety along Canal Street. And the DOT has again made a commitment to present this plan, which we are eager to see very soon. I think that was my final update. I just want to make sure. Let me check in with Porfirio, who prepared these notes, and make sure I'm having a hard time closing. There we are. Have I missed anything, Porfirio?
There's a few more things. Yes.
Sorry.
If I may jump in, is that okay with you?
Hop in.
The DOT's public realm team actually presented a draft yesterday to improve pedestrian, vehicular, and bike safety along the corridor of Canal Street. And they are hoping, after community input, to actually implement that by the summer of 2026. A couple of announcements, in-house announcements. So the Manhattan Borough President's Community Board Leadership Training Series is scheduled for the week of Monday, October 20th through Thursday, October 23rd. And it provides tools, instructions, and best practices for community board members and interested Manhattanites to learn about their local government processes. The series aims to help current and new community board members increase their knowledge of EEO, COID, and skills to combat implicit bias. The series also offers other topics, and some of the presentations this year will include sessions from IBO, archiving and passing on institutional knowledge, emergency readiness, using topography as a tool, and navigating the HPD and DOB portals as tools. We have a few events. Hispanic Heritage Month celebration will be on September 16th at 6 p.m. at the Sugar Hills Museum of Art and Storytelling, which is at 898 St. Nicholas Avenue. And the African American Day Parade, we are inviting everyone to join us on September 21st. We'll be meeting at 12 noon on 111th Street and Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevards. Lastly, I will mention we continue to stay involved with events like block parties, open streets, NYCHA Family Days, park and gardening events, and back to school giveaways. So please join us. And if you want to be part of our volunteer group, you can go to www.manhattanbp.nyc.gov. Turning it back over to you, Debbie.
Thank you so much, Porfirio. Okay, moving through the agenda, our final item is our chair reports. And if the other chairs don't have a problem with it, Valerie needs to hop at 9 o'clock. So I would like to ask Valerie, CB8, to kick us off with the chair reports.
I actually think it's my month, actually, because it's.
It is.
But that's
8.
okay. But that's okay.
I was thinking 9. Yes.
No.
Perfect.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. This has been a really rough month for CB8, to be honest. Before I get into that, I just want to say about the ferry. It's interesting that you mentioned that, Keisha, because boards 8, 6, and 11 just signed a letter over to the EDC, how unhappy we are that they are thinking about changes in service and are coming to do their presentations after the comment period ends. And we've written them to extend, to try to get an extension of the comment period. And we would hope that the borough president, based on asking for more service on the west side, to try to help us keep a comparatively robust service on the east side. There are many problems with the ferry. And we just think that is, again, I use this word often in these meetings, and I'm not trying to disrespect for community board and community board input. And I'm sure CB7 will have a lot to say about that in their report as well. So I don't want to steal any of
Okay, was that it, Valerie, or? Oh, you froze, Valerie.
Yes. Hill project was approved over our objection and our community's objection. And I will tell you that this is.
Sorry, Valerie, you froze again. Maybe if you go turn your camera off, the audio will amplify.
Yeah.
Sorry, Valerie.
Valerie, we don't hear.
The only people who came out in favor of this project were the hospital and.
Sorry, Valerie. Valerie, if you could turn your camera off, it might help your audio because you keep going out.
Going to bring 25 new beds. It's going to take almost 10 years. And no one along this process has done anything to make it better. We were looking forward to the city council doing a real critical look at this. We were looking forward to the city planning commission doing some planning about health equity and where hospitals belong. Quite frankly, the benefits package, the community benefits package, is paltry at best. The hospital tried to tell us that the $20 million improvement to the subway station was a community benefit. We find that hard to believe when it was proposed from the beginning. And this is a hospital and there's no disability access at the subway station. And you say you're using that as a community improvement. We just don't buy it. All that being said, we're going to try to get more as we move through the design phase of the project. And we're also the one good note, but it's sort of like ice in winter, was we got the hospital to agree to pledge $5 million to try to put disability access on the north side, which we are not going to have. And the $5 million is a pledge if only the MTA actually does something with the station. But at this point, that is like, I don't know, light years away. We'll probably land on Mars before we get an improvement to the north side of the station. So I just want to say, again, this has been a really, this is sort of a primer. And, you know, all of my fellow community board members all across the city and in Manhattan, working their butts off on a volunteer basis to listen to the community and being ignored at every level by every city agency. And this ULURP process is just another example of that. And so I will end my report on that note, except to say, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the summer. And I look forward to seeing you in person in September.
Thank you. Valerie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just so you know, like the beginning of the beginning part of your report, you were going in and out, but I think that that we got it. We heard the ferry part. It was the beginning of what you were saying about Lenox Hill. But I think we got it. If there's anything that you'd like to share with us, in writing, that if you felt that that you'd like to make sure that everyone has, please do that. And I would love if you would, if we don't already have it, I'm sorry, I've been on vacation, I'm not sure if we have it, but if we don't have the letter that you've that CBs 6, 8, and 11 sent about the ferry service, would you also share that with us?
Sure, we'll do. We'll do.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to acknowledge the presence of CB9. Victor, welcome. Okay, moving on to Victor, I don't know if it is actually time for you to give a report. I don't know if you'd like to circle back or.
I can give it now.
Okay. If you're fine with that, otherwise I can go to Shatik and then come back to you.
All right, go one and come back. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. CB10?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shatik Mitchell. I'm the first vice chair of CB10. I'll be delivering this report on behalf of our chair, Marquise Harrison. So this summer, CB10 has been focused on engaging our community to better capture our district needs. We've been conducting surveys at Harlem Week. We've been tabling at events, hosting activities across our district, just so we can hear directly from our community neighbors and bring their voices forward in our planning. At the same time, we're deeply concerned about the ongoing health crisis related to the Legionnaire's disease, which is many of you already heard has claimed about 5 lives in Central and West Harlem. We're working closely with community boards 9 and 11 and with our partners in city government to push the Department of Health for more transparency. This is not a new issue. Back in 2021, we submitted a letter calling for increased inspections of cooling towers and stronger filtration requirements, yet those actions were not taken. We now find ourselves having faced repeated outbreaks. We believe that this pattern is no coincidence, and we are planning both a press conference and a renewed call for immediate action to protect public health. We encourage other boards to raise their concerns on this issue as well, even though the outbreaks are not currently in your districts. In addition to that, CB10 is preparing for an important leadership transition as our district manager is no longer with us. We will be launching a search process to identify a new district manager to help guide our office, I should say, moving forward. Finally, looking ahead, we anticipate a very busy September. Among our priorities, we'll be seeking a meeting with the NYPD commissioner here in Harlem to address pressing public safety concerns. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Shatik. And if this is your first appearance, I think it is your first appearance as first vice chair, welcome. Welcome back in your, new capacity. You're very familiar with all of this, but welcome. Okay, moving on to CB9.
Yes, good morning all. Sorry for my tardiness. I guess the most pressing issue is Legionnaire's disease. Had 5 deaths, 16 people hospitalized, over 100 people affected by this. And what bothers me most, besides the deaths for sure, is that a lot of the buildings infected are city-owned buildings. Harlem Hospital, 215 West 125th Street, where Board 10 is, and I have my health center and Lenox Hill Radiology. So we have tried to inform residents to be careful. Any symptoms they think might be related to that, get checked out. One of the things, we met with State Senator Cordell Clear on August 12th for a town hall meeting, very informative. And one of the things she pressed as well is about inspections, more often and done by city employees, not, bless you, not outside corporations. Self-inspection never works. And the other thing that has highlighted in my life, this is happening in Black and brown neighborhoods. South Bronx had this twice. We had it here a few years back. And what's the difference between our neighborhoods and other neighborhoods as far as inspections? It's something that can be ratified. We're pressing also for city inspections. We, along with CB 10 and 11, will be doing a press conference later this week to bring awareness to this, to make sure that people understand what's going on. Earlier this month, we met with the new NYPQ teams, quality of life teams. We met at City College, met the team to be working with us directly, got the bearings of what that's about. I think it's going to be a great program, more communication, and just things that go to 311, maybe will be ratified quicker, and we could get those things resolved and people off the street in some cases. The other thing is we received 18 new members, the most ever for the board. So we're looking at some type of buddy system, current members budding up with new members to ensure the transition for them is smoother. We've lost a couple of co-chairs, so we'll be looking at some great options that have come on board. We're very excited about that as well. Myself and the district manager completed the sexual harassment EEO training last week. And our community associates are taking it this week as well. So we're looking forward to completing our audit and getting forward with that. And that's my report for today. Thank you. Good seeing you, Keisha.
See you as well, Victor. Thank you for that report. Moving on to CB 11.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, I've been dashing around kid camp drop off and all that jazz and parkour camp. But yeah, just was getting back in, and there was not going to be any way possible I could get all the way back downtown since I just got back in the door. Anyway, so CB11, echoing the points of 9 and 10, we're deeply upset at the Legionnaires outbreak. This is something that's gone on for years and years. And we are very much aligned in support of investment in our communities. And prevention is the best course of action. So if you look at just cleaning, testing, those items alone, just the testing can reveal if there are issues that start to arise. Because when you deal with bacteria, once it latches hold, it can multiply hourly at an exponential rate. There have been, and I know we were near a lot of those locations when we were on a personal level, when we were filming in Harlem this past month. So yeah, it's something that we need to keep an eye on. But again, we've asked in our statement of district needs and budget requests that we have the investments in our community, especially when it comes to health. Also, we've been very busy public safety outreach. We did National Night Out. It was really nice to be out. We didn't see many elected show up, but we had several community board representatives out, and we tabled at the 2-5. We were very pleased to have all the kids' performances, and the officers this year actually got to interact and play games. So that was a lot of fun. They don't ever get to really interact that way, and this was the first year where they actually got to play and compete, and they all walked away very happy. I know everyone had to be everywhere, but I was glad for everyone who showed up. Speaking of public safety, quality of life, if you have been to 116th Street and Park Avenue, a place called Bodega Paradise. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the last report. It was determined to be a strip club, and it is not zoned for adult entertainment there. We first to discover it. It is literally right across from our council member's office. And we got several community complaints, including Instagram postings of special appearances of dancers. And the owner there, manager, tried to deny it. Our Public Safety and Transportation Chair, Jose Altamirano, and Angel went there. I went after the fact, and you followed all the way back into the room. You saw these kind of step-ups with poles. So if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. So they claimed that it was the manager who was doing that. We had denied their liquor license application. They've resubmitted. It is unlikely that we will approve it at all because, again, having walked by there recently, it doesn't seem like much has changed. In addition to that, we're still dealing with a lot of needle refuse, a lot of open air drug use. We're getting loads and loads of complaints throughout the neighborhood. And we've tried to redirect them and advise that much of this has to do with state law, and state law that has allowed this to persist. And all we can do are make phone calls and try to get people help to the best of our abilities. On other news, we didn't have the record that 9 did, but I think we had like 15 or so new board members. We have done their onboarding, and now we are having another onboarding this Friday where it's in person and getting into the nitty-gritty of the work we do short, mid, and long term. So thank you to the Borough President's Office for the very careful consideration of these new appointees. We're going to be pouring all our institutional knowledge into them, but it's really to give them a ground view of everything from street co-namings to ULURP, how long it can take to online affordable housing, just the impact we can have as community board members. So that other than that, I hope everyone has a safe summer. I appreciate all the work that Porfirio, you're there, Keisha. Thank you so much for the entire staff of the BP's office, for Mark and everyone. We appreciate it and working together. So have a safe summer, everyone. Oh, well,
Thank you.
and another thing. Second Avenue subway with the rezoning, we voted to approve that, the 125th Street. So just, yeah, that's the other thing we are still continuing to chase to make sure that goes into phase 2 successfully. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Xavier, and safe travels in your camp parkour camp drop off. That sounds like fun, at least for your son.
At least they'll get the office reference. Parkour, parkour.
Parkour, indeed. It's the best episode. Okay, moving on, CB1. Tammy. Oh, because we still don't have CB12 present, right? Right? I just want to make sure.
She's not on yet.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Tammy.
good morning. Thank you and good morning, everybody. Apologies for not being able to be in person. I wanted to echo my community board support for extension of the ferry comment period. We are excited to see the ferries expanded, but a little concerned because one of the routes directly impacts the harbor school on Governor's Island in terms of a reduction for the ferries on the Brooklyn side. And while that might not seem necessarily important, a lot of the staff and students that attend that school do come from Brooklyn. They have a very large contingency. And the comment period started after school was closed and it ends before school reopens. So I'm not quite sure if there's an understanding from a very vulnerable group what is happening. So if there's any way that the ferry comment period could be extended to September 30th instead of September 1st, that would be the best to be able to engage. So I echo that highly. I wanted to kind of step into and supporting a lot of the conversations that we're having about voices. And one of those things are how agencies interact with the community boards and things they say and don't. For example, when we're talking about the borough-based jail and the points of agreement, it was very, very clear in the points of agreement that we have from the city, from a huge ULURP process, a highly controversial super mega jail, that there were things that were supposed to be community givebacks. And there was a commercial agreement. And so the community is supposed to have 20,000 square feet. But they've decided, the city, that the 20,000 square feet is minus 5,960 that is allotted for Chung Pak. Chung Pak had its own separate agreement within this within their own separate section. So the community stuff was separate from the Chung Pak. And the city says, well, it doesn't say it wasn't part of it, so we're going to include it. And I know this is a problem because when we're talking about 100 Gold, the city is shutting down and needs to relocate a senior center that provides meals throughout CB1 and 3, I might add, for older, insecure people, insecure for food. And what the city is trying to tell us now is that they're going to move them back in and expand it, and that the community benefit that they gave us will include the displacement of the senior center in its return. So the 20,000 square foot they're giving the community, oh, and by the way, you'll have to absorb that in the displacement that we're doing of the senior center. And we said, that's not the way this works. But I now know very well this is exactly the plan. It's a promise to the community, and then it's clawed back. And I'm a little disgusted, I think is the right word, at how disingenuous the city could be on things like that. We 100% support Chung Pak and their right to come back to the BBJ. But where's the rest of the community amenities? And if this is the pattern that's happening, it's really not a fair negotiating way to promise and then rescind. So I put that down there. I was delighted to have the Canal Street meeting this week. So thank you very much for all of the electeds and the bids and the community boards to be able to come together. there was information on there that I'm surprised that we didn't know, but it's great to see it as a holistic thing and try and do a little deeper dive and ensure the community is aware of every project that's happening and what the timelines are on it and how we can improve not only canal but north and south with pedestrians and bicycles. I do think that we need to ensure that we are protecting the businesses to operate, which doesn't seem to be a conversation about deliveries and truck traffic as much as it could be, and to ensure that when we're looking at Canal Street, we're not only focusing on studies that were done pre-congestion pricing, because things are different. And what we have today in 25, almost 26, is not the same as 22. So that's a really important thing. We also want to celebrate the opening of the city's first electric ferry to Governor's Island. So we want to congratulate Governor's Island as we're talking about ferries. We had a great press conference and kickoff for it. It's amazing to see a ferry that is so widely loved and used being able to be electrified to cut down pollution. And think that the mayor's vision moving forward for the ferries should include electrification and a conversation about that, because until you make that commitment and build the infrastructure for it, we're actually not going to get very far. So it's a great symbol and hopefully the beginning of things to come for the waters on the east and west side of Manhattan. We did also, you would think it's quiet, but it's not so quiet. We did a resolution last month on the preliminary report that came out about the charter amendments. It was interesting to see, I don't want to say the lack of change, but perhaps that's the right thing for public review. So I'll leave that be that where it is. We have been very
Tammy?
robust. Yes.
Sorry, Tammy, I just want to we can start to wrap it up, please. So we
I
can
am.
move. Thank
I am. We have our meeting tonight for our 1 August meeting, then we're off for the rest of the month. We opened a brand new park this past month, so I encourage you to all go visit Wagner in its new reincarnation. It's not 100% done, but we're 99%, and the park is open to enjoy. So I encourage everybody to come and visit Lower Manhattan. And that's it.
Thank you. We will visit Wagner Park and check out this ferry. It sounds those are really great highlights. Thank you, Tammy. Moving on to CB2.
Great. Hi. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Valerie Del Rosa here, chair of CB2. About half of our committees met this month, but however, for today's report, I want to brief this group on a security breach that occurred 2 weeks ago at our board office and led to the arrest of an individual for trespassing during business hours. The individual entered the board office and began filming with a personal device that disrupted the operations of our office. And for about an hour did not identify the business that he wished to complete inside the office besides investigative journalism. I eventually wrote out a FOIL request asking for salary of all of our board office employees and as well as how to file a grievance against our district manager as well as our employee conduct policy. We did respond to that request within the 5 days for the additional time. However, the email address did not bounce back. And there was before I get to my thanks to this office, there is no physical demarcation in our board office between public areas and staff only areas. We are not a storefront, but we are on a ground level of a doorman building. However, we didn't have a protocol in place until now to have those individuals buzzed in during business hours. So CB2 is one of many city agencies that have been targeted by this individual, which is evident from the perpetrator's YouTube channel, where there are several videos of incidents of this type. The individual has been charged with 1 count of criminal trespass in the 3rd degree, 1 count of trespass, and 1 count of harassment in the 2nd degree. And I want to thank, and that also includes, now as of yesterday, this is public court documents. This also includes a protective order for our district manager. So I really want to thank the support of the Borough President's Office, of Eric, Porfirio, General Counsel Peter Torre, for their support immediately after the event. It was about mid-afternoon once I made my way over to the office. I was not present for the event, and just to see how the staff was doing. So I really want to thank for that support immediately after, the continued support as we continue to navigate the aftermath of this incident, which is, it does include the publishing of the video that was recorded. The individual was, as I mentioned, had a personal device as well. And we are aware of the New York State being a first party of consent for filming and audio and video and all of that. Immediately after the event, we did brief the DCAS police. I don't know if everyone's aware there is a DCAS police force. We also briefed DC 37 Local 1549. We had two union employees, one that was present for the event, and also the NYU community engagement team, as DCAS leases the space for us from NYU. As I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but the perpetrator was known to the 6th precinct as well as the DCAS police. And I mentioned, just so it's in summary, there were 3 staff members present. So 1 union employee, our district manager, and 1 part-time freelancer. We do have a 2nd union employee on staff who was working from home that day. So since then, we've done a cursory risk evaluation of our office space. We've implemented some temporary measures of the physical demarcation, other visitor protocols, as we had harassing phone calls come after, 2 days after, both from someone who portrayed themselves as the individual who had been there, which is a little unsettling, I think, for everyone in the office. So we've just we will be reaching out. So we've done a cursory risk evaluation of our office space, visitor protocols, and other communication protocols, as well as we will be reaching out to DCAS facilities for adjustments that we've identified. We're also going to ask the DCAS police, as part of their mandate, is security breaches, and to have them just kind of tour our office space and identify any other additional corrective and preventative measures. This was, while there was no weapons or anything and no one was hurt physically, this was just a few days after the Park Avenue incident. And so that was really, it was a little unsettling for our staff, and I don't want to speak on their behalf. Of it. And then on Friday, with the publishing of the video, which is still up, it just became a very raw wound. So I met with the staff to debrief on the incident with everyone, and Mark was there as well, our district manager, and also to discuss, to hear their feedback, and particularly make sure we heard the feedback from our 2 union employees, so we can be on the up there. To discuss a preliminary workplace violence prevention plan. New York State passed and had a law go into effect in January 2024, a labor law regarding, and there's specifically items in there about access related harassment, which is what this was, and how to ensure that we are providing a safe work environment. And I think everyone knows, less than 20 full-time employees, so we are not mandated to have a written workplace violence prevention plan by law, but it is a best practice of, so I would ask the Borough President's Office for leadership on helping us come up with some sort of framework. I have a draft, but there's also the policy, and the lead, I think, should come from the Borough President's Office, as there are 11 other boards. I know we have a variety of office setups, but just of different things of what to do. And I have to say, it goes without saying that Mark Diller, our district manager, handled this. He could not have asked for better, steadfast leadership that day in both dealing with the individual as well as directing the staff. As you can see it on, it's online, so you can see it. I really don't want to speak more than that since there is a pending case on this that's being pursued by the DA's office. So I would say for that, and then as far as the first party consent and all of that, it did raise, and I don't know if this is in time for the training, but there are questions of board members not being certain about what is allowed in terms of filming, and you're not allowed to film, and I've pulled up a lot of this, but some sort of guidance from this office to about what's allowed, what's not allowed in a public meeting. I know that the New York State Open Government has a lot of that, but we have some committee chairs that think that they can tell someone to not record, and that is not the case. So I've identified that for our board, but that is something that would be a good training for any, I think any board member, as we are in public meetings, and also just a reminder of, as we publish these online. I also have some additional materials that I had put together on how to identify this type of harassment. It's an auditor, there's a whole subreddit on it. I don't want to go much into it here, and I'm happy to share those materials offline. It's just very cursory of how to identify when it's happening. It's just very light. And also, I gave guidance on how to document an incident, as we have on all these protocols for documenting harassing phone calls. And we briefed the 6th precinct, who are also fantastic. They have continue to be fantastic as well, in their support. So we've just implemented a lot of those, and how to use neutral language, and letting the staff, advising the staff on how, saying someone is a crazy person, just giving an example of things that are foilable, and just a reminder of things being foilable and being used in the media or being used in court. So that's kind of what we've been up to. So those are the 2 things that we would ask of this office for our support on. But I have to say thank you so much for your continued support.
Send me those, the drafts and what you found, and by all means, I'll pass it on to Peter as well, so we take a look at it.
Great, thank you.
And I just want to say, Valerie, I'm so sorry that you and the staff there have had this experience. It is unfortunately, and we talked about this a few meetings ago, not about this specific incident, but just how to handle members of the public. A few meetings ago, there was a discussion about this in terms of presence at board meetings and people who are disruptive at board meetings. And we all know that kind of in this new America that we're living in post-COVID, working in just how do I say this? Interactions in public spaces have definitely changed in tone and tenor. And we have to learn new ways to, engage with some of the new behaviors that we were not seeing prior to the pandemic. Thank you for the feedback, and thank you for sharing your experience with with your fellow chairs, so that we can all work together moving forward. I did want to say before moving on to CB3, that the borough president is going to call on in response to Valerie and Tammy and those who lifted up a request for an extension of the public comment period around ferries, that the borough president is going to do that. Is going to join you on that. And so I just wanted to lift that up really quickly before moving on to CB3.
Deputy Borough
CB.
President,
Sorry.
if I may interrupt just for a second, I just want to acknowledge that Council Member Gil Brewer is here. And we also have a representative from Julie Menon's office, Genesis Vargas.
Excellent. I did not see. Okay. Council Member Brewer, would you like to hop in with a report?
Go ahead, I'll listen to others. I can come in at the end. Go ahead.
Okay, moving on to CB3.
Sure. Thanks, Councilmember Brewer, and thank you, Valerie, for that report. I'm very sorry to hear that all the staff had to go through all of that, and thanks for sharing your experience with us. I'll keep it brief. In August, CB3 recesses aside from SLA, but we've still been keeping busy conducting all of our obligations, including wrapping up our district needs statements and committees, meeting with certain agencies. We've had some productive meetings with DCP, and are preparing for our budget priority hearings on September 10th. I won't belabor or repeat what Tammy already said, but just to give some more context, I'm sure you're all aware or saw the news a few weeks ago. There was a devastating crash on Canal Street that took the lives of two individuals, Kevin Krushenk and May Kwok. And as you all might know as well, a number of advocates, our community boards have been pleading with the DOT for improvements along that corridor for a number of years, and we're pleased to see some improvements, but I wasn't able to make the meeting. My transportation chair, Vinny Cerrito, did. And so we're definitely committed to continuing to improve traffic and pedestrian safety along that corridor. We had a number of our board members, as I think I mentioned, we have a more active outreach committee now, and a number of our board members were able to attend National Night Out on just a couple weeks ago. So that was a great community engagement experience for all of us. And then lastly, we've, as I've mentioned at this Borough Board meeting a number of times before, we have been quite involved with issues surrounding a de facto rest area for deliveristas on 11th Street for over a year now. Took us about a year to secure bike corrals in order to secure the bikes, prevent them from getting stolen, create a little bit more sense of order over there. My DM in particular has been quite dogged about creating a sense of safety and well-being for the workers, for the people there. We've managed to get the Parks Department to add a few picnic tables in a kind of an adjacent community garden. This is a block that has a mosque, a school, and a community garden. And so that's kind of created a patchwork solution to some of the kind of quality of life issues on the street. But we're very vocal about the fact that these are delivery workers and our city is creating a need for them. But whereas the city itself and the delivery apps are not creating a condition in which is livable for these workers or for a number of residents. It's quite a congested, narrow street. So we've been dealing with this issue pretty persistently, and our next steps now are to call meetings with agencies, including NYPD and DOT, to help kind of resolve these issues on both medium and long-term ranges. And then lastly, I'm sure you all received emails from, and apologies if I missed some emails, but from the Office of Equal Opportunity Practice, I believe. We sent a letter in response, but we also flagged to them that we need them to work with the borough president's office to kind of meet some of these compliance issues they're looking through. Our community boards operate much differently than city agencies, so we don't always have, they're treating us like agencies, whereas we need them to kind of like look at this a little bit differently and kind of work more collaboratively with all of us on this. So we sent them a letter, and if anybody wants to discuss, feel free to email me. So thank you.
Andrea. I appreciate all of that. Moving on to CB4. CB4 present? I don't think so. Okay. Okay, moving to CB5.
Hi, everybody. I'm Yaron Noni Victor. I'm the first vice chair of CB5. Our chair couldn't be here today. We don't meet in August, but we have been busy working on the sort of completion and seeing the Midtown South rezoning through, engaging really robustly, specifically with Councilmember Botcher. And we were very pleased, not only about the rezoning itself and all of the affordable housing that's going to come to our district, but pleased to see that the council pass it and that there's a lot of mitigations and enhancements that are part of that, public realm improvements, the 34th Street busway, pedestrianization in Broadway, tree plantings, like so many garment district protections, a lot of things that the board was advocating for a really long time. So, you know, obviously, thank you to the council, to Councilman Botcher, to the board president, for his advocacy and support. So this is really great stuff that's happening. And then upcoming in September, we're going to be looking at horse-drawn carriages. This is something that's been in the news. Our district obviously abuts the park, and also we have a lot on the north side of our district, a lot of the carriage riders there. So we're going to be taking that up. And we're going to be looking at the charter revision suggestions and recommendations, and also talking more about the Manhattan Plan and what we can present to DCP. We've had a fellow from the fund from the City of New York working on like doing a sort of survey of land use and housing in our district. It's been extremely useful, the work that she's done for us, and we're going to be able to take findings from that plan and sort of turn it into recommendations for the Manhattan Plan for DCP. And then lastly, I would say on the administrative side, we are looking to totally revamp our calendar of meetings in next year. I've been on all of your websites looking at your meeting calendars to get inspiration. We are trying to solve for having our resolution, the full text, finalized text of our resolutions in the hands of members much further in advance of full board. We're really struggling with that now. We have, like many of you said, we have a lot of new members. We're having a lot of very in the weed discussions at full boards that we think if the resolutions themselves were in the hands of members well in advance, we would be having fewer of those conversations. So, you know, I've looked at all of your schedules to take inspiration and maybe in touch with some of you to hear how you do this. But this is something we want to do for next year. And that's it.
Thanks so much, Yaron. Moving on to CB6.
Hi, I'm John Keller, first vice chair of CB6 here for Sandy Nikki, who is wisely on vacation. I have a lot of comments on things that were said, but I'll keep it brief and focus on, first of all, the East 34th Street busway. And that also segues to something that Valerie was saying about how public behavior at some of our meetings, discussion, shall we say, got very robust. And it was the only time I've been on a CEC for 6 years and this community board in my 10th year and 9th year. And that was the first time I felt my personal safety at the front table was, there on the table, as it were. So we're very happy that the 34th Street busway is moving forward. We supported Pastor Rezzo in support of it. We're particularly grateful to Councilmember Powers for his continuing advocacy on this. We understand that the project will also undergo further robust public engagement process by the New York City Department of Transportation to ensure strong community input, and we're pretty sure the input will be strong once again. The second issue I wanted to raise is the casino that CB6 is the site of a proposed casino. We've begun the public review process. We've already passed a reso opposing a casino in our district. The Community Advisory Committee, of which Sandy is a member,
held its first meeting on July 17th, which took care of a lot of procedural members, heard a presentation from the application team. But the first public hearing will take place, as many of you know, on Thursday, August 28th, from 4 to 9 p.m. at Scandinavia House, lower level, 58 Park Avenue. And I'm sure that'll be on at least our website. And we've, as I said, passed a reso opposing the construction of a casino. The other, I would like to just segue on two other things that were raised: the Legionnaire's disease concerns, which are troubling. Bellevue Hospital is in our district, and I'm going to ask with Sandy, the chair of our health committee, to look into what's going on there, and is it a best practice, or what is going on and what's happening? Because Bellevue is obviously serving a citywide constituency, and I'd like to echo the gratitude of other boards for the wonderful new members that we've received. Sandy and Jesus Perez and I have conducted several two onboarding sessions already, and Sandy is working hard at getting everybody on the right committee in the right place. And I think I'll just leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And thank you for being present when others are on vacation. I appreciate you. And moving on, last but not least, Beverly, CB7.
Thank you. Lots going on, even though we do not meet as a full board either in July or in August. I want to thank the Borough President's Office for having their assistance in getting this EEOC audit for sexual harassment training underway. We do understand that there is an additional training that is now required, and would greatly appreciate it if the Borough President's Office could help coordinate between EEOC and DCAS about how to make another live training opportunity available to community boards and chairs and staff for essentially the equal opportunity piece, which is not now available. I mean, you go on their site and they say the period is closed and we can't do it now. I think that would be immensely helpful. One thing that is blown up that I'm sure Councilmember Brewer will discuss as well is we had over the weekend a bit of a shock because DOT, which has been working with us on a smart curbs pilot program for some months, did not necessarily have any while they have done I think a very good job of engaging with the public on what the program is and what the elements are and getting feedback, they implemented a component of it regarding smart street the actual for cars, they put it in place on all the side streets off of Columbus Avenue, literally overnight. We got about a day's warning. We've written a letter that we copied the Borough President's Office on, pointing out that they have now created this enormous negative feedback from our community on this, that to meter through smart meters these sites with no notice to the community, no posting that this was going to happen, has really been a great setback to their whole pilot. And we have urged them to work with us to get the word out and answer questions that are now coming at us from the press and from our constituents. And further, we are hoping this does not essentially take over what will be our next Transportation Committee meeting in September, which we had hoped to dedicate to another very complex issue, which is the installation of crosstown bike lanes on 72nd Street. And DOT has been planning that presentation for some time. And I think this will just create a sense of concern around that. And again, this could have been avoided so easily, and we don't quite understand what happened there. We got information on through letters on the charter amendments in under the deadline barely. Our Housing and Land Use Committee met multiple times to get letters out. We have our election of officers coming up early. We do nominations in September and elections in October. I am term limited as chair, so there's been heavy activity in terms of planning on who wishes to run. We are continuing to focus on the ABC site, which is, I think, in a very problematic place right now. The developer can proceed as of right. City planning has basically urged us to reach a deal with him. We've informed them that that's not going to happen as long as he has so little housing on the site, as well as plans for a super tall tower. And I think there's a little bit of slow walking going on here. And we're concerned that the clock will run out and he can proceed as of right. I think that's everything. And I will turn it back again. Thank you for your support around the EOC work.
Thanks, thanks, Beverly, and we will circle back around the additional request for support there. Okay, thank you all of the chairs for your reports. Councilmember Brewer, thank you so much for your patience. We'd love to have your report.
Thank you very much. I want to also thank community boards. There's a lot of challenging situations, but we had a good meeting regarding, I would call it the entrance to Central Park at Columbus Circle. And it looks terrible right now. You've got vendors, you've got pedicabs, you've got a lot of dirt, you've got a monument that needs to be cleaned, you've got a lot of disorder. We had all three community boards, 4, 5, and 7, sanitation, parks, Central Park Conservancy, related, a vendor project, and I think others, from the museum, for instance. And the short version is we're going to find a way to take these stone ballards, I don't know what they're called, and put what I would consider the same ballards that exist across the street and at many locations, which are just the silver stanchions. We're going to find a way to do that. The power wash will now be taking place because the vendors are going to move when the power wash is taking place. The main statue is being restored with a very complex cleaning process. And we're going to work perhaps with some kind of a different design for the vendors. They're going to be there. Most of them are legal, etc. So it's a long, more trash cleanup around the bikeway, which goes right along the side there. So it was a very productive meeting, having everybody in one room. And so I was excited. That kind of bringing together does help. So let's see if it works. So you have a better entrance to the park. Local law 97 is hovering. And so by August 29th, as any building that comes under local law 97, you have to have your paperwork in. So I called the Department of Buildings. I got the list of the buildings on the west side that have not gotten their paperwork in. And I called all of them. Sometimes it's a church, sometimes it's a building. And they now all know that they won't get fined as long as they get their paperwork in. It took a lot of time to find some of these people, but we did it. So I don't know if other districts are doing that, but the fines are extensive. So you do want to get your paperwork in. And then, of course, down the line, you have to figure out how you're going to make the adjustments. But at least you won't get fined. That's most important to me. We continue during the summer. We've got our Fresh Food for Seniors program. Oh my goodness, is it popular? Hundreds and hundreds of people pay $10 for a $25 bag of fresh fruits and vegetables. And we, thanks to the Borough President's Office and Catholic Charities, we then deliver it all through the neighborhood. And I can't tell you how popular it is. It's incredibly popular. With interns this summer, we did several surveys, one on all the broken and some working water fountains. We have 163 of them on the west side. And then we did the same thing with the ice cream trucks. And we could, you could see where they're blocking the, sometimes just a bike lane, not to mention the hydrant. So, we want ice cream, but we want it to be safe. So we're working to make that a reality. But at the same time, those surveys were extremely helpful. We do a summer guides listing of all the events, and that is also very popular. I've been to a lot of summer rising. I went to all the programs. I think there are 8 of them in the schools in my district. And some of them were really good. I think they've gotten a bad rap. It depends on, to be honest with you, how many IEP students you have. If you have a lot, it makes it hard. If you don't, it makes it a lot easier. So there's a morning with academics, afternoon with fun. Sometimes they mix them up. But I think they come up sometimes with the city says you're going to have 300 students and you only have 150. So that has to be worked out. But I was impressed despite all the bad internal messaging that I had heard previously. We've also been to all the Nights of Family Days. And I think there's a lot of positive effort by NYCHA to make some of the repairs. I want to mention that we have, as a result of, even before we did the water fountain survey, we're passed a bill saying there should be more water fountains in the city. And the same thing with schoolyard playgrounds, something I've been working on for a long time. That bill passed. I am really concerned, as you are, about the Charter Revision Commission. I'm not quite clear what kind of efforts are going on to say no to those mayoral suggestions, but it's going to be very challenging to get it not to pass. I will tell you that. We are also, in terms of the Oversight and Investigations Committee, we're doing a press conference this week on air conditioning. Stores are supposed to keep their door closed if the air conditioning is on, and they don't. We surveyed all 5 boroughs, so we're going to make that clear so that people understand that. We're just also doing a press conference on med spas. We won't ever go into one. I hope. They have so many illegal activities going on in these med spas. We're also hoping that the school buses will actually show up for the kids this year. That's always a problem. And we've been looking citywide at all the public bathrooms, seeing if they work, if they don't work, etc. Those are things that we care about. In our office, we have often the West Side Campaign Against Hunger, helping people get SNAP. We have monthly housing meetings. We have monthly veteran services and weekly scree and dree in terms of people helping at the office. I will say, just in terms of what some of your issues are with safety, we had some safety issues, and now, to the credit of the city council, we have cameras everywhere, and it's a buzzer system to get into the office. We're street level, but we've had some incidents. People came in with really scary comments and activities. That's how we handle it. But it can be really, really frightening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Brewer, for your all the work that you're doing, but also especially in summertime, but also for your leadership on the water fountains and so many other issues. I know that there was someone on from Councilmember Menon's office, Genesis. I don't know. I think you didn't want to make a report, but I just wanted to just check. Genesis, are you there? And did you want to be elevated to make a report? Oh, I see you. Okay. Not hearing a response, I will move on. I had one a quick announcement that is on a very, very high note. And that's for all of you who work very closely with Eric. I just wanted to share with you that he is now the proud father of a baby boy. So if you want to reach out to him and give him his congratulations, please do. And I know that Porfirio had a couple of announcements, so I will toss to Porfirio before I call for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Deputy Borough President. Took a little bit of my thunder away, but the baby's name is Julian. So the next time you speak to Eric, by all means, congratulate him. I want to Valerie just mentioned one thing. Safety and respect is very important to this office. We talk about it all the time, but in our On October 21st, we have a speaker named Afua Adu, and she's part of our Combating Implicit Bias Leadership Training Series. And she's going to address those things and how we should all treat each other. And I think that's a very especially important one to kind of note for your members. She spoke last year and it was phenomenal. And if you could believe it, every single person on our team actually stayed for an extra hour and among ourselves kept the conversation going. So it was that fascinating. And then last, this is an in-house thing. I will be gone the first 2 weeks of September, and Eric will also still be out. So anything that you want to address, please make sure you reach out to Keisha Sutton James, our Deputy Borough President. And then I'll turn it over to you, Madam Borough Deputy.
Perfect, thank you. I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
enjoy
All
the
those-
rest of your.
Oh, I'm gonna ask if you are all in favor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Assuming no no's, I enjoy the rest of your summer, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.